Imagine this. You're sitting at your desk, the clock is ticking, and you've got a huge project due soon. Your to-do list is staring you in the face, but instead of starting, you feel an overwhelming urge to check your phone, rearrange your workspace, or even clean the fridge. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Procrastination is something we've all wrestled with. But have you ever wondered why we do it, even when we know it's sabotaging us? Let's talk about Heather. Heather is a brilliant graphic designer. Her ideas are extraordinary, and she has an incredible eye for detail. But Heather has a problem. She procrastinates. Every time she's faced with a project deadline, she waits until the very last minute. It's not because she's lazy or doesn't care. In fact, it's the opposite. She cares so much that she gets paralyzed by the thought of her work not being good enough. Sound familiar? Maybe you've been in Heather's shoes, where the fear of starting feels heavier than the task itself. But why does this happen? Is it just a lack of discipline, or is there something deeper at play? Science tells us that procrastination isn't just about poor time management, it's about emotions. When we face a challenging task, two parts of our brain start battling it out. On one side, there's the limbic system, the part that seeks comfort and avoids pain. On the other side, there's the prefrontal cortex, the rational planner that knows what's good for us in the long run. When you feel the urge to procrastinate, it's your limbic system taking over, convincing you that scrolling through Instagram is a better idea than tackling that hard thing on your plate. A fascinating study in 2018 by Dr. Tim Peichel, a leading researcher on procrastination, found that procrastination is less about time and more about emotional regulation. It's about escaping negative feelings like fear, boredom, or self-doubt. It's not that Sarah, or you, don't want to succeed, it's that the thought of failing feels so uncomfortable that avoiding the task becomes the easier option. Let me paint a picture. Imagine standing at the edge of a pool. The water looks cold and you know it'll be uncomfortable at first, but once you're in, it's refreshing, even enjoyable. Procrastination is like standing at the edge, convincing yourself the water is too cold to jump into, even though you know it'll feel fine once you do. Now, here's an interesting statistic. In a global survey, 88% of people admitted to procrastinating at least one significant task every week. That's nearly 9 out of 10 of us, and it's not just a minor inconvenience. Chronic procrastination has real consequences. It can lead to stress, missed opportunities, strained relationships, and even health problems. In fact, a 2022 study published in Psychological Science found that chronic procrastinators have a 30% higher risk of cardiovascular disease due to stress-related behaviors. But let's not get stuck in the problem. Let's talk solutions. Here's a story about Mark. Mark was a software developer who struggled with procrastination his entire career. His breaking point came when he almost lost a promotion because he submitted a major project just minutes before the deadline. Desperate to change, Mark adopted a simple strategy. He started focusing on the first 2 minutes of any task. Instead of thinking about the entire project, he told himself, "I'll just open the document and write one sentence. That's it, one sentence." What happened next was amazing. Once Mark started, momentum carried him forward. That one sentence turned into a paragraph, then a page, and before he knew it, he was halfway done. Mark unknowingly tapped into what psychologists call the Zeigarnik Effect. This phenomenon explains why our brains feel restless about incomplete tasks, nudging us to finish what we've started. Here's a question for you. What's one task you've been avoiding? Think about it for a moment. What if you set a timer for just 2 minutes today and took one tiny step? Let me give you another example. Emma, a college student who used to pull all-nighters to cram for exams. One day, her professor shared a strategy that changed everything, the time-blocking method. Emma began dedicating specific hours of her day to focused study, breaking her tasks into small, manageable chunks. She even scheduled breaks to recharge. To her surprise, Emma's grades improved, and so did her mental health. A study published in Frontiers in Psychology supports this. It found that structured time management reduces procrastination by up to 80%. Why? Because when you know exactly when and what you'll work on, you're less likely to feel overwhelmed or tempted to delay. In psychology, this is called cognitive reframing. By changing how you interpret a situation, you can change how you feel about it. And when fear loses its grip, action becomes easier. Now let's address a myth. Some people think they work better under pressure. While it's true that deadlines can motivate, studies show that work done in a last-minute rush is often lower in quality and more stressful. In fact, research from the University of Calgary revealed that procrastinators report higher levels of regret and dissatisfaction after completing rushed tasks. So how can we replace procrastination with productivity? Here's a tip that might surprise you. Reward yourself for progress, not just results. Celebrating small wins, like finishing a paragraph or making a phone call, trains your brain to associate effort with positive feelings. And here's one more strategy. Accountability. Whether it's a friend, a mentor, or even an app, having someone or something to check in with keeps you on track. Studies show that people are 65% more likely to complete a goal if they share it with someone else. Before we wrap up, let me leave you with this thought. Procrastination doesn't define you. It's just a habit rooted in emotions, fear, and sometimes even perfectionism. And like any habit, it can be changed one small step at a time. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who might need a little encouragement today. Subscribe to Universal Insights to explore more tools and stories to help you thrive. And in the comments, tell us what's one small step you're going to take today to beat procrastination. Let's tackle it together.